Life presents us with many challenges, and often the greatest tests come not from events, but from people. Some individuals, whether through malice, ignorance, or selfishness, act as obstacles to our peace, our progress, and our virtue. In the Stoic tradition, we do not blame or fear them. We recognize them, prepare ourselves, and respond with wisdom. Here are 7 signs that someone in your life may be a demon. Not in a supernatural sense, but as a force that disrupts your path to tranquility and strength. A Stoic seeks mastery over emotions, understanding that external forces do not dictate our inner peace, only our perception of them does. However, some people in life thrive on the opposite. They manipulate emotions, not through wisdom, but through deception, control, and the subtle erosion of one's ability to think rationally. These individuals, whether consciously or unconsciously, disrupt the balance of those around them, feeding off reactions, creating instability, and steering others away from tranquility. Recognizing this manipulation is the first step toward regaining control. Emotional manipulators operate in different ways, but their core strategy remains the same. They seek to make you react, rather than reflect. They exploit weaknesses, using guilt to make you feel responsible for their problems, fear to make you dependent, or anger to cloud your judgment. A Stoic, however, understands that emotions are natural, but must be managed with discipline. When someone tries to manipulate your emotions, they are attempting to control you by disrupting this discipline. They want to provoke a response, rather than allow you the space to act from reason and virtue. One of the most common tactics of emotional manipulation is guilt tripping. These individuals make you feel as though you owe them something, even when you have done no wrong. They use phrases like, "After everything I've done for you," or, "If you really cared, you would do this for me." A Stoic response to such tactics is not to engage in the guilt, but to examine the situation with reason. Have you truly wronged them? Is their suffering genuinely your responsibility? If not, then their words are simply a tool designed to manipulate. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Recognizing that someone is using guilt as a weapon allows you to disarm it through logic and self-awareness. Another form of emotional manipulation is fear. People who wish to control you may use threats, whether direct or indirect, to influence your choices. They may imply that you will suffer loss if you do not obey them, loss of their affection, financial stability, reputation, or safety. Fear is one of the most powerful human emotions, and manipulators understand that a person gripped by fear is unlikely to think clearly. A Stoic, however, knows that fear only has power when we allow it to. Seneca reminds us, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When faced with fear-based manipulation, the best response is to analyze the threat. Is it real? And if it is real, is it something truly beyond your control? If it is, then it is not worth worrying about. If it is within your control, then you have the ability to act without fear. Anger is another emotion frequently exploited by manipulators. They may provoke you deliberately, saying things that they know will offend or enrage you. When a person reacts with anger, they often act impulsively, making decisions they later regret. This is exactly what the manipulator wants, an emotional reaction that gives them the upper hand. The Stoic approach to such provocation is to pause, observe, and remain indifferent. Epictetus advised, "When someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." The key is understanding that their words or actions do not force you to be angry. You choose to be angry. And if you can choose anger, you can also choose restraint. Ultimately, emotional manipulators thrive on control, and the best way to defeat them is to deny them that control. They want you to be a puppet, reacting to every pull of their strings. A Stoic, however, remains grounded in logic, virtue, and self-awareness. The only true power they have is the power you give them. The moment you recognize their tactics and refuse to be controlled, they lose their grip over you. You reclaim your peace, your clarity, and your ability to act in accordance with reason rather than impulse. That is the essence of Stoic strength. Inner peace is the foundation of a strong and resilient mind. It is not given by external circumstances, but cultivated from within, through discipline, wisdom, and an unwavering focus on what is within our control. However, some individuals act as obstacles to this tranquility. They bring unnecessary conflict, drama, and negativity, seeking to pull others into their chaos. A Stoic understands that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our response to them. Recognizing those who disrupt our peace is essential in maintaining clarity and emotional balance. One of the most effective ways people disturb inner peace is through constant negativity. They always find fault, complain endlessly, and focus on what is wrong rather than what can be improved. Their presence is draining, and their words are filled with pessimism. Such individuals try to impose their worldview on those around them, making it difficult to maintain a calm and focused mind. A Stoic approach to dealing with these people is not to argue or absorb their negativity, but to remain indifferent to it. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. By refusing to engage with unnecessary negativity, you prevent it from taking root in your thoughts." Another common disruption to inner peace comes from those who thrive on conflict. These individuals seem to seek out arguments, misunderstandings, and tension, as if peace itself unsettles them. They twist words, provoke reactions, and create unnecessary disputes. A Stoic response to such individuals is to remain calm and not be drawn into their emotional storms. Seneca advised, "A quarrel is quickly settled when deserted by one party. There is no battle unless there be two." If someone seeks to provoke you, the wisest course of action is often to disengage. Not every battle is worth fighting, and many conflicts only serve to distract from what truly matters. Some people disrupt inner peace by imposing their expectations and demands on others. They believe that others should think, act, and live according to their desires, and when those expectations are not met, they create pressure and guilt. A Stoic, however, understands that no one is obligated to meet another's unreasonable demands. As Epictetus taught, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means being willing to disappoint others if it means staying true to your own principles and priorities. A final way people disturb peace is through manipulation, whether through guilt, fear, or deception. They create uncertainty and instability, making others doubt themselves and their decisions. The best defense against this is clarity of thought and firmness in virtue. When a person is centered in wisdom and guided by rational principles, they are less susceptible to the emotional influence of others. The true measure of peace is not the absence of external chaos, but the ability to remain unshaken by it. Those who try to disrupt peace only succeed if we allow them to. A Stoic does not surrender their tranquility to the whims of others. Instead, they guard it as one of life's most valuable possessions. Finish thinking. Honesty is one of the pillars of a virtuous life, and deception is its direct opponent. Those who are deceptive and dishonest create disorder, not only in their own lives, but in the lives of those around them. A Stoic values truth, both in words and actions, understanding that without it, there can be no trust, no stability, and no real foundation for relationships or personal growth. When we encounter dishonesty in others, we must recognize it for what it is, an obstacle to wisdom and clarity. While we cannot always avoid dishonest people, we can control how we respond to them. Deception takes many forms. Some lie outright, twisting reality to serve their own interests. Others manipulate the truth, omitting details or distorting facts to influence the perceptions of those around them. There are also those who deceive not with words but with actions, breaking promises, acting with hidden motives, or pretending to be something they are not. Regardless of the form deception takes, the effect is the same. It erodes trust, creates confusion, and pulls people away from what is real and meaningful. A Stoic must remain vigilant against such individuals, not through paranoia or fear, but through wisdom and discernment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A Stoic strives for honesty, not only in their own speech but also in their interactions with others. When dealing with deceptive people, the key is not to fall into their games. Recognize that their lies are a reflection of their own weakness, not yours. Epictetus taught that we should not concern ourselves with the opinions or actions of those who lack virtue. Instead, we should focus on maintaining our own integrity. If someone is dishonest, it is not our duty to change them, but it is within our power to set boundaries and refuse to be entangled in their falsehoods. A dishonest person often seeks control, using deception as a tool to manipulate and mislead. The best defense against this is clarity of thought. Do not take words at face value. Observe actions, patterns, and intentions. A Stoic does not react with anger or frustration when faced with deception. They acknowledge it, refuse to be swayed by it, and continue to walk the path of truth. In the end, the dishonest person harms themselves most of all, for deception is a burden that corrupts the soul. The Stoic, grounded in honesty, remains free. A Stoic seeks to live a life guided by virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These qualities form the foundation of a strong character and a meaningful existence. However, not everyone values virtue. Some people, either through ignorance or selfishness, encourage others to abandon their principles in favor of indulgence, recklessness, or moral compromise. These individuals may not always have malicious intent, but their influence can lead others away from the path of self-discipline and integrity. Recognizing these people and resisting their pull is essential to maintaining a life of virtue. Encouraging vice can take many forms. Some people promote excess in pleasure, in materialism, in indulgence. They tempt others into overconsumption, whether through food, alcohol, or reckless behaviors, framing it as harmless fun or as an escape from life's hardships. But a Stoic understands that giving in to excess leads not to happiness, but to dependence and weakness. As Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." True freedom comes from self-control, from the ability to enjoy what is necessary without being ruled by desires. Those who encourage vice often do so because they themselves are enslaved by it. A Stoic must recognize this and stand firm against such temptations. Others may encourage dishonesty, injustice, or cruelty. They persuade others to cut corners, deceive, or act selfishly, arguing that integrity is a weakness and that only the ruthless succeed. This mindset is dangerous, for it leads to a life of compromise and regret. Marcus Aurelius warned against this, reminding us that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Just because the world is filled with dishonesty does not mean we must contribute to it. Virtue is not just an ideal, it is a practice, one that must be maintained even when those around us encourage otherwise. Some people promote vice through cynicism, discouraging personal growth and effort. They mock ambition, belittle self-improvement, and dismiss discipline as unnecessary. They prefer comfort over challenge, stagnation over progress. A Stoic rejects this mindset, understanding that growth requires effort and that virtue is strengthened through practice. As Epictetus said, difficulties are what show men's character. Those who discourage virtue do so because they fear their own inadequacies being exposed. The best response is not to argue but to lead by example. A Stoic does not condemn those who encourage vice, nor do they attempt to change them. Instead, they remain steadfast in their own principles, knowing that a life of virtue is its own reward. Energy and purpose are among the most valuable resources a person possesses. They fuel progress, shape ambitions, and give meaning to our actions. However, some individuals, whether knowingly or unknowingly, act as obstacles to this drive. They drain energy, not by physical means, but through emotional exhaustion, constant negativity, or by pulling others into meaningless distractions. A Stoic recognizes that time and focus must be guarded, for once wasted they cannot be reclaimed. Identifying those who drain your energy and disrupt your sense of purpose is essential for maintaining clarity, discipline, and inner strength. One way people drain energy is through excessive neediness. Some individuals demand constant attention, validation, or assistance, making their problems seem urgent even when they are not. They treat others not as independent individuals but as emotional crutches, expecting them to carry burdens that are not theirs to bear. A Stoic understands that while kindness and compassion are important, there is a difference between helping someone grow and allowing them to become dependent. As Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This means leading by example, offering wisdom and support when necessary but not at the cost of your own well-being. Energy must be spent wisely, and those who demand too much of it without giving anything in return must be approached with boundaries. Another way people drain energy is through constant negativity. They focus on problems rather than solutions, complain without seeking change, and view life through a lens of helplessness. Their presence is like a weight, pulling down the spirits of those around them. A Stoic does not allow external negativity to dictate their internal state. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When surrounded by negativity, the best response is not to absorb it but to remain detached, choosing instead to focus on what can be controlled and improved. There are also those who drain purpose by distracting from what truly matters. They encourage procrastination, entertain trivial concerns, and pull others into meaningless drama. Their actions may not seem harmful at first, but over time, they chip away at focus and discipline. A Stoic values time, recognizing that every moment spent on trivialities is a moment lost for growth, learning, or meaningful action. Seneca warned against this when he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The wise response to such distractions is discipline, choosing what deserves attention and letting go of what does not. Ultimately, those who drain energy and purpose are not always malicious, but their impact can be significant if left unchecked. A Stoic does not react with anger or resentment, but with awareness and self-control. Protecting one's energy is not selfish. It is necessary for living a life of virtue and meaning. By setting boundaries, staying focused, and refusing to be consumed by the burdens of others, a Stoic ensures that their energy is directed toward what truly matters. Both growth and wisdom are the cornerstones of a meaningful life. A Stoic understands that the pursuit of knowledge, self-improvement, and moral development is not just a choice but a responsibility. To resist growth is to reject the very nature of existence. For life itself is change, and wisdom is the ability to navigate that change with reason and virtue. However, some individuals resist this journey. They reject learning, refuse self-reflection, and remain stagnant in their ways. These people not only hinder their own potential, but often try to drag others down with them. Recognizing such individuals and understanding how to deal with them is crucial for anyone seeking to live according to Stoic principles. One of the most common signs of those who resist growth is their unwillingness to accept new ideas. They hold tightly to outdated beliefs, rejecting any knowledge that challenges their perspective. Rather than seeking truth, they seek comfort in their existing worldview, even when it is flawed. A Stoic, however, values truth over comfort. As Marcus Aurelius said, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." A wise person understands that growth requires the humility to admit when they are wrong. Those who resist this process remain stuck, never evolving, never improving. Another trait of those who resist wisdom is their aversion to self-examination. They do not reflect on their actions, choices, or flaws. They blame others for their misfortunes, never considering their own role in their struggles. This is the opposite of the Stoic mindset, which teaches that self-awareness is the foundation of wisdom. Epictetus taught, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Growth requires the courage to acknowledge personal weaknesses and the discipline to work on them. Those who refuse to look inward are destined to repeat the same mistakes, trapped in cycles of ignorance and failure. Some individuals resist growth because they fear effort and discomfort. They prefer ease over challenge, stagnation over progress. They dismiss ambition and self-discipline, choosing instead to remain where they are. A Stoic understands that struggle is essential to growth. Seneca reminds us, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Growth requires effort, and wisdom is earned through experience. Those who fear struggle will never develop resilience, and those who avoid effort will never achieve anything meaningful." A life without challenge is a life without improvement. There are also those who actively mock or discourage others from seeking wisdom. They belittle education, dismiss philosophy, and ridicule those who strive to improve themselves. They do this because they feel threatened. Deep down, they know they are not growing, and rather than change, they try to bring others down to their level. A Stoic does not allow such people to influence them. As Marcus Aurelius advised, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When faced with those who resist growth, the best response is to continue forward, using their opposition as a reminder of the importance of wisdom. Ultimately, Those who resist growth and wisdom are not just harming themselves, they attempt to hold others back as well. A Stoic does not engage in futile arguments or try to force wisdom upon those who reject it. Instead, they focus on their own journey, leading by example. The best way to counter ignorance is to embody wisdom. The best way to overcome stagnation is to continue growing. A Stoic understands that while they cannot control others, they can always control their own pursuit of knowledge and virtue. And in doing so, they ensure that they remain on the path of wisdom, no matter who stands in their way.